views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Fashionistas Home Edition. I am your host, Fleriser Bello. It is a pleasure to have you join us on this beautiful afternoon. We trust that you and your loved ones are well and staying safe. In today's Fireside chat conversation, we welcome speaker, author, intentional life coach, founder and CEO of Purpose Steps. Purpose Steps is a change maker organization which builds a community of confident, determined, and purposeful young adults and women. This organization focuses on helping individuals become completely grounded in their strength, knowledge, and capabilities of living an authentic life filled with purpose and meaning. Please join me in welcoming Latina Trailblazer and Puerto Riqueña Addriana Montalbo Andujar. Addriana, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. Love what you're doing. And I'm just so excited about this journey.
It is a pleasure to have you at our home studio, Addriana. And thank you for accepting our invitation. It is always a pleasure to welcome Latina Trailblazer like yourself to speak about issues that affect us and also share their stories of how they became to be where they are today. For those that do not know you, Addriana, please tell us more about yourself and what it is that you do.
I am a life coach, interpreter, and I am a speaker and author and CEO, as you introduced me. I'm a grandmother of 5 and a mother of 2 boys. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, but now I'm stationed in Vineland, New Jersey, which I absolutely love. It's very farm here. It's very, very tranquil. Different from New York, but I miss my family there. And I just retired from sign language interpreting about 2 years ago, and I became an author and speaker, really motivating and empowering young adults and women especially. I am a domestic violence survivor, so I definitely push that empowering unit of my speaking.
What is Purpose Steps?
Purpose Steps is my organization, and I have frequently been told to take that leap of faith, but for me, taking a leap of faith is too scary. I am one who likes to control certain situations, and when it's that jump during that leap, you can't really control things. So, Purpose Steps came about because I wanted to just take the step. It's kind of like comparing that tortoise and hare, the story of the tortoise and hare. The tortoise kept taking intentional steps while the hare jumped and ran. And what happened is he burned out and he stopped and took a break as the tortoise continued his journey and became the winner. So Purpose Steps is really that's partially how that name came about, because it's taking that purposeful step towards your goal, towards your intention. It's to live a purposeful life. And what that means, getting out of your comfort zone, getting out of the familiar. That one step leads to an action step. It leads to confidence. And then as you soak in that confidence, it leads automatically to another step. And so that's what it's all about, is taking that one step on purpose, to your purpose, for your purpose.
How did you come to that step on a personal note to be able to get to where you are today and how that has impacted your life?
I was a sign language interpreter, as I stated. And in that course of working 30 years for the Board of Ed, I really found that especially young ladies, they limited themselves. And they were very surprised when they found out that I was Latina and a sign language interpreter. It didn't mesh to them. I should be a Spanish interpreter. That makes more sense. So they wondered, well, how did you get there? I've always had a passion to work with special needs children. And so it was an automatic flow to just go into that. I learned in my own personal journey that you are going to have life fractures. You are going to have circumstantial stalls. But that doesn't mean the end of the story. It means that you have to find another way. And I found my way and I found my way. And so for me, it's all about paying it forward. And so I reach back to those kids. I reach back to those Latino children and children at large who need someone to say, come on, I'll take that journey with you. I'll walk with you. And then when it's not so scary, I'll let you go. And you see them running, you see them fly. And that's the beauty of what I do. And for me personally, I actually hit a really rough bump in the road in 2016 where it became life and death. And with that, there was a decision that had to be made. And that decision was that if I'm going to live out my life, I'm going to live it out fully, regardless of what others try to project on me, the limitations that others try to project on me, regardless of, someone had told me, well, nobody wants to read a book about women overcoming trials. I mean, we all have trials, we all overcome. And what's the point? The point was that my book, Shoes for Yana, Yana means you are not alone. And what I found in the high school as I shared my story was that these children, these high schoolers that were going to become adults soon, all felt alone in their journey. And so that's where Purpose Steps partnered with Yana, You Are Not Alone. And it just was, it became this, it permeated together. It just was this perfect connection where I am a life coach, I am a speaker, and I am an author, but I'm letting people know through my personal learning journey that you're not alone. We all struggle. We are all going to go through something. There are trials that are going to be had, but it's beautiful when I can see someone that has been there and is willing to share their story because it validates who I am. And so now I'm doing that for others. And that's where it all came to be. And in 4 years, I'm an author, I'm a speaker. I mean, just doors have opened up because the need is there and the want is there and the hurts are there. And so to motivate them and empower them and encourage them is what my life's mission is what my purpose is.
How during COVID you've been able to help people and students deliver themselves and find their true purpose?
Well, COVID, caused the world to come to a pause. And it's not a stop, it's a pause. And that pause caused you to reflect and took away your norm. So all our norms of waking up and going to work and getting all that came to an abrupt stop. And we had to slow down. Going back to the story of the tortoise, we had to slow down and we had to figure out things and we had to look around and we had to do introspection. And the things that we labeled ourselves by, the things that we were connected to were not so anymore. And people had to really stay home and do some self-reflection. And that is hard when you have to deal with you. You can deal with the world. You can deal with jumping on a train and getting on a bus and going to work and talking to your boss. But that was no longer happening. And you had to deal with the things that many of us do. We procrastinate in dealing with some issues. We procrastinate in even dealing with our own health. And so during COVID, I personally lost several members of my friends and family, and I lost my aunt especially. That was the one that really took a lot away from me, and it made me stop. That made me stop, and what I decided to do was to start journaling. So if anyone's out there and you just don't know how to release those emotions, put them on paper. That's where the war happens. And I always say that war happens on paper. And with that, I started to look at things that I've always wanted to do, things that I had always said I was going to do now, and I'll do it eventually when the time is right, when the situation is perfect, when I'll do this when this happens, and we do a lot of that. we live our lives like that. When I lose 10 pounds, I'm gonna buy this outfit. Um, but in fact, it really needed to come to do it, because
Mhm.
there are people who were here this time in April that are not here anymore, and their opportunities are done. And with me, I began to challenge myself to exercise, and I began running. I've always wanted to be a runner all my life. And I have this here always as a reminder. I always wanted to be a runner, but I just didn't know technique. I didn't know how to do it. I learned YouTube is a great place. If you're home and you want to start something, get on YouTube. It's a great place to start research. I learned technique. I started doing a little here, a little there. Now I'm up to running 5 miles. I began working on my next book, which is Shoes for Yanni, the male version of my book. And now I'm working on that. And I started to do the things that I wanted to do, instead of putting them off. So that's one thing that I can challenge people to during this COVID time. Start doing those things that you've always wanted to do. Start calling those people that you always intended on calling but haven't reached out to them. Reach out to your strong friends, because they're the ones that are trying to hold it together. Um, these are things that we all can do. Send a letter out to someone that you've been thinking about. Um, and these are the things that during COVID, though we are not connected and we're social distancing doesn't mean socially disconnect. So connect with your friends, connect with people, because we're humans. That's what we're made for. We're made for interaction.
We will take a quick break, and when we return, Adriana will discuss how you could step into your destiny and walk a purposeful life. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Adriana, what are the steps one should consider when stepping into their destiny and walking a purposeful life?
I get that question so much because people are constantly asking, so what's my purpose? What's my purpose? Why am I here? And that question has been asked since Adam and Eve. It's just, we are always looking for that thing that's going to bring us joy. And it doesn't come by way of money, it doesn't come by way of status, it doesn't come by way of position. The definition for purpose itself is, why is something used? What is the reason? Why does it exist? It's your motivation, it's your why and wherefore. And so purpose is the why behind your passion. Purpose is that thing that drives you. And passion actually is the deep reason for your purpose. Why it makes an argument for your purpose. It's that thing that's deep down inside that sometimes you are afraid to tell anyone, because they might think it's dumb, or they might limit you and say, oh, that already exists, we don't need another one of those. And purpose is the direction in which you really live your truest self. You are your most authentic self. And so you have to have both. You have to have, your passion is what makes you, what brings you joy. But in order for you to share that passion, you have to put it into action, and that action is the purpose. It is what makes you get up. But using it and putting it into action, you have to get together with people. You have to share with people. You have to go out and serve. And that's where people get uncomfortable, because while they have the dream, putting it into action is a whole nother thing. And that part is, it challenges you to be amongst others and put your purpose out there. So a couple of things that I know for me, and it has worked for many of my clients, is I always say, don't downsize your dreams. We need you here. We need to have your dreams. We need to have you show up in your purpose, Because when you're in your purpose and another person's in their purpose and I'm in my purpose, we all coexist and it becomes this really fine harmony. It's almost like a dance. So don't downsize your dreams. Show up in all your glory. Don't focus on your problems. There are plenty of problems out there. Focus on solutions. What can you do to change that? And while the problem is there, how will you resolve it? How will you solve it? Instead of always complaining about what's going wrong, let's look at what is going right. So many people during this COVID crisis says, I'm stuck home. You're not really stuck home. You're safe at home. And this is how you have to try to look. And I don't believe in that toxic positivity where, rah rah, I'm not a cheerleader, but if you're safe, you're not stuck. Being stuck means you can't get out. There's no way out. You feel trapped. And I know a lot of people may feel that way, but if you really look at the situation, you can walk out your door and be safe still. So make sure that you look at the solutions. Be true to self. Stop people pleasing. I say there's a disease to please. It's called people pleasing itis. Stop pleasing. It's okay to say no, and your no doesn't need an explanation. It's a full sentence. Those who love you will understand. Those who don't are going to want to know why. And you don't need to explain. You know why. Choose courage over fear. There's a lot to be afraid of out there. There's so much out there going on that's so negative. Choose faith over fear. They both take just as much energy, the same amount of energy. So choose faith. Choose that even though you're nervous, make it be an excitement. You're scared to do something, make it exciting. Instead of using the word fear, be excited about it. It's something that you've never tried. And if you fall 7 times, you get up 8. That's the best way to live. Choose your relationships wisely. That is very, especially now, choose those conversations that you're having wisely. Choose those posts that you're posting wisely, because people are so, they're so deep in thought now that you might post something that you really liked and somebody might take offense to it because they think you're talking about them. Make sure you connect with people that are going to hold you up and lift you up and not join you in a party of disaster and turmoil, because we do that a lot. And then finally, really create that vision that you want in 5 years. How will you thank yourself now for what you did today going towards that goal? And then, like I stated in the beginning, write it down, make it real, put it on post-its, put it on lipstick in your mirror. It just is something that really will get you going, and it serves as a reminder when the rest of the world is telling you you can't. Inside, you know who you are. Do it. Challenge yourself. Get out of your comfort zone.
I've heard people saying that purpose is a cliche, that writing down doesn't work. But most people that I've interviewed, they literally said, I believe in purpose, because purpose is finding myself and my identity. I know that you had mentioned that purpose and finding identity, how one can find their identity, and through finding their identity, they can find purpose.
I find, the resolutionists. I'm going to join the gym in January 1st. I'm going to jump in there. And when they don't lose their 20 pounds in 2 weeks, they give up, right? And by the end of February, the gym just made a lot of money from people who are not coming to the gym. Because the anticipation is, I believe that war happens on paper. Now, when I write it down, is it over? No. Is there work that I have to go through? Yes. Are there things that I have to face that are on that paper that I don't like and I'm not going to do it? So I close the book and put it away and say it doesn't work? Absolutely. But it does. And there's no other way that I can say except that you continue the journey, and it's painful. And eventually you start to dig deeper. Eventually you get to that place where you're like, oh, this is what they were talking about. and it doesn't feel good at times. It doesn't. And it's easy for you to close that book, put it away, and never face it and say it doesn't work for me. And it might not work for you. It might not work for certain people. Then you find your way. You have to look at your day. You have to look at the things that come your way, good and bad, especially the negative. You have to look at it as somehow it being beneficial to you. And that's a weird way of thinking of things that kind of hurt you, or you feel rejected from, or you feel abandoned by. But you have to look at it in a way that there's a lesson there, and it's going to be beneficial. And at times, I don't know if that's the right way to think, but I know that that is the most productive way of looking at the situation and dealing with it in the most productive way that I can do. Instead of being reactive, I become proactive with that, no matter what the situation is. And I faced domestic violence. I have had to look at that and go, oh, I get it. The life that I lived at that time wasn't for me. It's for all the domestic violence women that I have come across. And I've been able to share the story of hope, and I validate their journey, and I give them that anticipation that it's going to get better one day because they see I did it. They can do it too. And I'll walk with them. So it's about looking at it as a lesson, even though the rest of the world is telling you, if it wasn't for bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all.
It's important to go and keep a consistency in the process, because it's like you said, if we drop it, if we only do it for 1 month, we're not going to see the results. We need something more consistent. We need to persevere in order to see the final results of things. Like running, it's okay. I start today and I do it next week, and I stop for a month, but you feel your body actually going through the process of going back into what it was. And it's a small efforts that count after that really make someone shift the mindset, continue with consistency and changing for the best.
And addressing purpose being a sort of cliche word that is being thrown out there to the world. When you understand the definition of purpose, when you really get what that means, then it takes a whole nother turn. It's not as cliche. Or find your purpose. Well, your purpose is, why is it that you're existing? It is deeper. Go deeper into that. Meditate on that word. Break it down. Purpose guides our passion, but it's passion that fuels our purpose. So if you want to say it a different way, you can say, find your passion. Find that passion, because that passion is going to fuel what it is that you're meant to exist here on earth for. That passion is going to bring you to your purpose. So while purpose guides our passion fuels our purpose. And so passion is for me, but purpose is for the rest of the world. So passion, what I'm feeling inside is what was giving me that why and wherefore. It's my it factor. But that has to go out into the world. And that is your purpose, putting your passion out into the world. So whatever that is for you, people say passionate, and I say passion is it. So if you can go ahead and find, maybe I should call my company Passion Steps, because that is really what it's all about, finding your passion. What is that? What did you play as a child? What did you do as a child? It's funny. My mother told me that I used to grab the brush, but not to sing into it. I didn't want to be a rock star, but I used to speak into it. And I was always talking and pointing at people and talking. And now here I am, a speaker.
No way.
Yeah. And my son, when he was a child, he played G.I. Joe. Now, I didn't like guns because I know what it feels like to have one pointed my way. And I never let him have a gun. He grew up to become a Marine. So that's the passion. The passion never goes away. It's what wakes you up, and it causes you to ask, what's my purpose? Because your passion has been covered by those life fractures and circumstantial stalls. So when I coach you, I actually coach into your strengths. I could care less about your weaknesses. And I had a client ask me about that. Well, what about my weaknesses? I'm not going to work on your weaknesses. I'm not trying to make your weaknesses stronger. I'm going to work on your strengths. So your strengths become so strong that your weaknesses are insignificant and you don't have to deal with them because your strengths are who you are and it drives your passion into your purpose.
Talk to us more about your book, Shoes for Yana, stepping into the shoes of 16 women who did not let fear choose their destiny.
Shoes for Yana is about 16 women stepping literally into the, women love shoes. So, of course, I had to do shoes. Stepping into the shoes of 16 women who did not let fear choose their destiny. It's compiled of stories of tears, tenacity, and triumph. These women, many of them have been through stuff, but Yana means you are not alone. Their shoes, each woman is represented by a different shoe and the journey that shoe takes them on. Now, the beauty of this book is we have something as simple as a broken heart that you think you're going to marry your first love and have babies and move to the suburbs. And in fact, you have your heart broken and you never forget your first love. As all the way up to a woman who was stabbed over 30 times. The doctors stopped counting. She was stabbed over 30 times in her face and head, left blind by her significant other, and she was still able to forgive him. And so she actually in court asked for mercy on him, not to be put in prison, but to be put in an institution where he could get help. Those are stories. My personal learning journey is in there. I am Ruby Slippers, and I take you on my personal yellow brick road and the things that I went through and the tin men that I met and the lion that I met. And so these are stories to impact you and let you know you are not alone. The book has reached very different places. It reached Jordan, an orphanage in Jordan, where a woman contacted me to let me know that she thought American women were privileged and things like that didn't happen to them. And she ended the email with "Goodbye, Yana," from another Yana. And it just really, if I only wrote the book for her, it was perfect. But the book has touched many young women and men are being touched by it as well and asking me to do the men version now. And that's what I'm working on now. I'm so excited about it.
Where can one find your book?
The book is on Amazon and on Barnes and Nobles online. Proceeds of the book goes to a Yana Scholarship for a high school senior graduating here in Violin. And it goes to a female who is pursuing college, and she's not necessarily the high academia, the one with the 4.0, and she's also not the star athlete. She is just like you and I. She's just a Yana who wants to make something of herself. And so we give her cash to start off her year, to buy her computer, to buy her books, to buy what she needs. And we give the scholarship out every year. And it has blessed so far. We've done this 4 years now, and it's been amazing to hear back from the girls and hear what they're doing with themselves. And it's just been beautiful because the proceeds do go to the Yana in the high school.
Where can we contact you?
You can contact me at purposesteps.com. The page is under construction, but you can still reach me through there. You can reach me on Facebook, Instagram. My email is Addriana@purposesteps.com. And it is ED ending. It is purposed. So make sure you put that D in there on purposesteps.com. They can reach me through there. And I look forward to hearing from people. I really do love connecting. Like I said, it's social distancing, but it's not social disconnect. And so I keep connecting with people and I keep meeting people from around the world. It's become a global thing, and just excited what God is doing.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Addriana. God bless you, and may you continue on.
Thank you. And don't forget to live the true in you.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to follow us on social media at Bellas Fashionistas TV and our media partner at BronxNet TV. To watch more of the programming, please visit our website at bellasfashionistas.com and our media partner at bronxnet.org. Please be safe, Have a great day.